Okay, Room 41. Yesterday we learned a lot of interesting facts about the Pennsylvania Dutch, the Amish people, and the Mennonites. We left off talking about things like the way they dressed, how they plowed their fields, their houses. Then we learned about their schools, only through the 8th grade. We learned it was a one-room schoolhouse with only one classroom for kindergarten through 8th grade. We know that they didn't finish school after the 8th grade because they were going to be farmers, and so they didn't need any education beyond that. We also learned that they shared something called a pit toilet, which was a toilet dug in the ground for boys and one for girls. So today we're going to talk about continuing on with their traditions for the Pennsylvania Dutch, the Amish people. We're starting right here in this paragraph. A young man and woman driving in an open buggy are probably courting. That means dating. A young man and woman driving in a closed buggy are married. When men get married, they start growing a beard. Well, that's very different than the way kids date today. So if you are driving in an open buggy as an Amish couple, you are dating. That way people can see you. But once you get married, you can drive in a closed buggy. And once you get married, the men start growing a beard. That way you know whether the man is married or not. Amish people do not have churches. Every second week, they hold their church service in a member's home. When you see, right there, Amish buggies on Sunday headed in the same way, you know it's church day. When you see many buggies headed the same way on some other day, then they may be going to a wedding or a funeral. Amish people have other customs. One is called barn raising. The Amish community will get together and spend a day building a new barn for a farmer. The new barn can replace one lost by fire or be one for a new home, for a new farmer. So they will all get together from the community. All the Amish men and women, the men would get together and raise a barn. They call it raising a barn. I mean, they build it from scratch in one day. We're talking a barn, a large barn, to hold all their horses and cows and equipment, bigger than just a shed. We're talking a size of a barn that you see on farms. The women would be busy making sure the men had plenty to drink and plenty to eat and get them cleaned up and help out with anything they could help out with. But they can raise a barn. They can build an entire barn in a day. Now, what happens when something doesn't go well? Well, when someone does not obey the Amish rules, they believe in another custom called shunning. Shunning is when no one in the Amish community will pay attention to the rule breaker. He or she has to be sorry for breaking the rule. Then the Amish will pay attention to him or her again. For example, suppose an Amish teenager is seen driving a car. That teenager will be shunned by the Amish community, including his or her parents. They will not speak to them. They will literally turn their back. So if this teenager is caught driving a car, then they are shunned. When they walk in a room, everybody just turns their back to them. Doesn't speak to them, doesn't make eye contact. They literally turn their back, like that person doesn't exist. So they go anywhere in the Amish community, people will not walk with them, will not talk to them, and will turn their backs on them until they ask forgiveness and the Amish community believes they're truly sorry. The American plan of government promises all ethnic and religious groups the freedom to live and worship in the manner of their choice. The older Amish and the Mennonite have a lifestyle different from the one most of us live. They are to be respected for their way of life. Oddly enough, the Pennsylvania Dutch in the Lancaster region have become a huge tourist attraction. Millions of people visit Lancaster County to learn about their way of life. And they're not exaggerating. Millions of people travel to Lancaster. I'm sure some of you have gone out to Amish country where you can see their way of life and learn about them and get all their good baked goods and watch them work in their fields. And they won't talk to you. They don't want to be part of our world. We're English to them. They're considered their way of life, and we're English. So typically they don't spend a whole lot of time talking to you. If they're selling you something, like in this picture here, it says, many Pennsylvania Dutch sell their goods at farmers markets, such as the Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia. So they'll sell their goods to you, and they'll make money that way. And you can see that there are people there that are not Amish, but they live apart. They believe in staying separate. So let me ask you a few questions and see what you remember about the Amish. Now, you don't have to write these down or turn them in any way, but let's just talk about these. Question number 1. From what 2 countries in Europe did the Pennsylvania Dutch move during the 1710s and the 1720s? Remember what we read at the very beginning. People thought they were Dutch, but they're not Dutch. They're actually German, and they also came from Switzerland. So Germany and Switzerland are the 2 countries that the Pennsylvania Dutch came from. Question number 2. What language do the Pennsylvania Dutch speak? Well, they spoke Deutsch, German. They spoke the German language. Question number 3. How did the Pennsylvania Dutch get their name? Well, that was a mistake. It was an accident. The English people here that were colonists, when the Pennsylvania Dutch came over, they said that they were Deutsch, and the English people thought they said Dutch. Therefore, they became the Pennsylvania Dutch, even though they are German. Question number 4. Where are most of the Pennsylvania Dutch located? Well, right here in Pennsylvania. The largest area would be Lancaster. Question number 5. What is a hex sign? Some people believed it was to keep away bad spirits, keep away bad luck. But we know that most people draw them on their barns as more of a decoration. That's the only place you'll see a decoration. You won't see decorations in their homes. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in pictures and mirrors and things like that. It is very simple in their homes, but they do put a hex sign on their barns. So look for one when you're in Amish country. Question number 6. Why are the Amish people called plain people? Well, let's see. They didn't believe in buttons or zippers. They did not like to have bright colors. Their main colors were white, black, brown, purple, and blue. They were very plain dressed. They don't wear earrings or jewelry, no wedding rings. You don't see their clothes with buttons on them or zippers. They use pins to hold their shirts closed and things like that. Name 3 beliefs of the Amish that are different from most people. Well, they believe in the simple way of life. They believe in no television, electronics, things like that. Beliefs that they have about their religion is that it's important that they have church once every 2 weeks. Not in a church. They don't believe in a church. They just believe in gathering at someone's home. They believe that education should only go to 8th grade, that they think that's enough education because the boys and girls will be going back to the farms to either work in the home or work in the fields as a farmer. Question number 8. Explain whether you would like to attend an Amish school. Wow. I think I hear your answers even without you being with me in the classroom. You don't want to be in an Amish school? You don't want to have a pit toilet? Well, some of you would like the idea of only going to school till 8th grade, but then you realize that after 8th grade you're going to be a farmer. A one-room schoolhouse? Kindergarten through 8th grade all in the same room? I don't know. I'm guessing most of you would say no, you would not want to attend an Amish school. What's a barn raising? Well, we just read that, where the Amish men get together and in one day they will raise an entire barn. And what is shunning? That is their way of punishing someone who does something wrong. They will shun them. I've heard that some people can be shunned for years because they're not sorry, and other people can be shunned for just a matter of hours. But shunning is their way of ignoring someone who has broken a rule. So what you're going to do next is I have another video for you to watch that was created so you can see some pictures and some video of Amish people. They don't like having their picture taken. So what you'll see, this Amish man talking, you'll notice that the cameraman is at his back and he doesn't like to show his face. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in having any graven images. They believe that's from the Bible. So you'll watch him explain his workshop, his home, his barn. After that, your next activity is going to be making hex signs. I have saved for you on Teams a packet, a PDF, that is called Pennsylvania Hex Signs. It tells you a little bit more of the history of them. It shows you some examples of hex signs, and then you get to choose which, you get to draw your own hex sign. You have to be careful and follow the guidelines. Everything you put on that hex sign has a meaning to it. Every color you use has a meaning. If it's green, it means it's growth, life, beginning, things like that. If it's red, it's for emotions. Read the symbols and the directions for all the colors. Because if you put a color on your hex sign, I'm going to ask you, why did you put that color there? If you put a smooth edge around it, that has a reason. If you put a scalloped edge, that has a reason. If you put a dove or an eagle, those both have different meanings. So you're going to be creating your own hex sign. It's going to take just a blank piece of paper. If you have anything without lines on it, like maybe a piece of paper from your computer or your printer, take that out. Follow the directions for the colors and the symbols on your hex signs. Look at the examples. And then draw a circle as big as you can on the paper. Something big that you can use, maybe use a bowl or something and trace around it to give you a perfect circle to start your hex signs. All hex signs are done in circles. So you'll draw it as big as you can on the white paper, and then I would draw it with pencil first to make sure you can get everything to fit on there and use the correct symbols that you want to. And then this would be your hex sign, and we're going to share these next week. So make sure you take your time, get some really good color on there. I don't care if you use markers, colored pencils, or crayons, does not matter. Please be careful with your markers at home, just like you are at school, because sometimes the markers will bleed through onto mom's table or onto your desk, and that would not be good. You might get shunned. So make sure that you use something underneath the paper if you're going to use markers, and create a hex sign as your final project for learning about the Pennsylvania Dutch. You can call me with any questions. Your materials and directions are on Teams. Make sure you go to Files, Class Materials, and then look for the one called Pennsylvania Hex Signs. You'll see examples of them and the list of colors and symbols. Have fun making your hex sign.